Yo, what's up? It seems that people are still looking around to see where they can make the best advanced voice AI agents. And I'm like, guys, I've been told you. Look, it's right there. Yeah, as you know, Vapi is the best, and I'm going to break it down for exactly why. First things first, obviously, transparency. You can see everything that's going on with the voice AI assistant from one location, the dashboard. You can even listen to the voice AI from their main page. Like as soon as you log in, go to Vapi AI. You can demo immediately. Super cool. Watch this. I actually might have to refresh my page because I have been sitting here
Welcome
for a
to
bit.
Vapi.
There she goes.
I'm an assistant that you can talk to like a person. So, how's your day going?
It's going great, girl. What's happening with you?
Not much, just here to chat and help you out. So, what can I do for you today?
I was wondering what's the difference between like some of the brain waves because I'm listening to beta waves right now, but I forget the difference between like beta and theta and alpha and delta and omega and all. What can you break down the brain waves for me?
Sure thing. Brain waves are pretty fascinating, aren't they? So, the brain produces different types of electrical waves at various frequencies, and they're associated with different states of consciousness and cognitive functions. Let me break it down for
Wow.
you. 1.
Anyways, you get the point. You can talk to the assistant straight from the dashboard or from the login page, which is cool. Speaking of the dashboard, let's go. You hit dashboard up in the top right corner, you'll go to the dashboard. First, you'll have to log in, which you can do with your email. Watch this. Log in with Google. Obviously, I already have some accounts, so I'll just click this button here, and we're gone. On that note, I'm going to point out some things that are immediately important to know. Let me go to this. One, you can switch between organizations. This means you can separate your accounts with your friends' accounts, with your clients' accounts, with your other business accounts anytime you want. You can make as many organizations as you want, as many accounts logging in with the same email. Obviously, that's pretty dope. Second, the billing. You're billed per usage. That means you don't have to buy credits up front. You don't have to pay for anything until you're actually using the product, which is dope. Yes, there's a caveat here. If you're on the enterprise plan, you do get a discount for buying credits up front and you get additional call concurrency, which means you can do more calls at a time. But for the sake of this presentation, obviously, we're just talking about when you first log in, you can use the assistant as much as you want, and you only pay for what you use. You're going to say, hey, well, how much does it cost? On average, each Vapi assistant costs about 12 to 13 cents per minute, depending on your settings. The great thing about Vapi is you get to choose your own settings. I can switch the LLM out. This is the brain. OpenAI obviously is pretty popular, but I also have Grok. I also have Anthropic's Claude here. With Grok, there's the Llama, there's Gemma, so some open source models here. There's Mixtral, some, which is also pretty cool. So I have a lot of options with what brain I want to use inside of the assistant, which is sweet. You can see the cost breakdown, so I understand exactly why I am paying how much I am paying. Vapi takes a 5 cents. DeepGram, which is the speech to text provider, that's how we transcribe the conversation. So we're speaking here. The AI is taking notes pretty much. There's the brain. That's costing me a penny. And then there's the text to speech. So when we want the AI to actually say something out loud, we have the voice provider Play HT costing about 6.5 cents. So that overall costs about 13 cents per minute. The latency. This is the delay in the responses that are coming back to the user, me in this case. On the web, it's a bit faster. So you use the web when you're doing demos, stuff like this, when I just want to talk to an assistant. I'll show you. It's connecting. There we go.
Hello, I'm Finn.
What's up, Finn? How are you?
Hey, um, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Just here, ready to help with all your.
Cool. All right. So if I want to just demo the voice immediately, I can hit talk to assistant. That's one way to talk to the assistant. If you want to see the delay when you're actually doing a phone call, which most often we are going to be using the assistant on the phone, Twilio and Vonage both come native with Vapi. You can import numbers straight from Vapi if you buy them on Twilio. And we'll do a deep dive on Twilio as well. But for now, this is the latency, imaginary latency, if this was happening over the phone. So you can see it's going to take about a second, almost a second and a half to do responses when we're talking on the phone. Plus, there's going to be another penny and a half about per minute from the Twilio cost. So again, 15 cents per minute with the most expensive voice provider, because I like PageT the best. It just works the best. That is how you can see the cost breakdown and control exactly what pieces you want to use inside of your AI. I'll break down a few more components on this dashboard. So the system prompt, this is where you give the instructions to the assistant in the same way you would prompt a custom GPT or any other OpenAI assistant. It's just prompting. You can put literally everything in the prompt. It's going to work pretty well if you can break down clearly what your goals are and what you need the AI to do. It's just like training a real person. You're just training an AI. You'll see some other buttons over here on the right panel. The knowledge base, you can upload files and then have the AI look into those files and read them. I find that if I upload my information straight to the prompt, it works a bit better, but the files can work for smaller sizes if you need just to add some additional knowledge to the AI. I like to put a lot of the stuff straight into the prompt. Temperature. This is determining how random the AI is going to be in its responses. 0.7 is the default. It's pretty good. Max tokens determines what is the longest response the AI can have. 250 tokens, I believe, is about 100 words, give or take. And I usually just leave this to the default as well because it's fine. Detect emotion. Do you want the AI to be able to detect other emotions like anger, joy, etc., etc.? You can turn it on. It works pretty well. Great. Your first message, this is the very first message that the AI is going to say when the call connects. As you'll notice, she said, "Hello, I'm Finn." Watch. Come on, Finn. What is up with my Wi-Fi? It's probably my connection. I'm going to refresh the page real quick and see. Very interesting. I don't think I changed anything. Having some issues. Anyways, we'll keep looking at some of the other settings on here. Transcription. Again, this is how the AI is taking notes, pretty much putting what we're speaking into text so that it can send that information to the brain. The brain can interpret the conversation, reply with some text. That text goes to the speech provider, and the speech provider generates speech for us to talk back with. Deepgram is fine. You don't really ever have to change this. Unless you're speaking in another language, then you can change the languages here. So the AI will give you notes in different languages. Anytime you get confused about something, there's always these little question marks or icons, information icons all over the place. You can literally just like copy this, put it into Claude AI or GPT and ask it to explain what this does. But also, if you go to this question mark down here and you need help creating an assistant, Vapi has full documentation of how everything works in their platform. You can click through it one by one and you will understand exactly what each of these pieces do, why they do it, and how it all works. This is what I just explained, right? The AI listens and takes notes. It sends those notes to the LLM, the brain, and the brain gives its response back to the speech provider, which lets it speak to us, and then we just go back and forth with the conversation. Not necessarily super important for you to understand how that works, but if you want to, it's all here. Also, any specific questions you have, Vapi has a built-in AI assistant that you can text and ask your questions to. Pretty cool. Let's go back to the dashboard. Your voice providers. You have access to a ton of voice providers. 11 Labs, which is one of the most popular, and all of their voices. And I mean all of their voices. A lot of them. Play HT, which is my favorite because it works the best. Tons of voices to choose from. Cartesia, tons of voices to choose from. Now you'll notice that the prices are all different based off of the components that you put into the model, right? So for Cartesia only cost me 2 cents. The latency is only 250 milliseconds. That might be a reason why you want to use Cartesia. PlayHT costs more, is a little bit, it's exactly the same speed. But I find that the voices are a bit more realistic, sound a lot better, smoother conversation. 11 Labs will actually allow you to professionally clone your voice with their software, and then you can bring your professionally cloned voice into the platform here. If you wanted to do that, your cloned voice would pop up right here on the right. That's if you do so choose to, too. You can bring any of your other providers into the platform by going down here to provider credentials. We'll cover that in just a minute. I don't want to skip ahead. We're going to keep going to the dashboard. So you pick your voice. You pick a voice that goes with it. This is just some random ones. Let's go with PlayHT. Melissa is fine. She's a professional businesswoman. Background sound. This is if you want there to be like office noises in the background to kind of build the ambiance. I'm going to leave this off for now. Input minimum characters. You don't really need to worry about this, but you can hover over the icon and look at it. I always just leave this to default. If you don't understand what something means, you really don't have to change it. The default settings are almost always going to be good settings for you to use. We'll cover a couple that I do like to change every time. Same thing with the punctuation boundaries. You really don't need to know too much about this, but if you want to learn more, just ask Vapi what is the punctuation boundary and why would you use it, or go to ChatGPT and explain, hey, I want to understand what punctuation boundaries are. Copy this, paste it in over there, ask your questions. Cool. Filler injection enabled. This will let the AI have like additional ums and ahs and other filler words added into the brain that gets injected into the speech before it gets sent to the voice provider so that it can respond with ums, ahs, and stuff like that. I don't like it. It doesn't really come off natural. If you want the voice to have like filler language inside of its conversation, just prompt it. Just tell it in the prompt, hey, speak with casual language, use filler words, sound natural. Cool. Same thing with back channeling enabled. This makes the AI say and ah and yeah while the user is speaking, like to active listen, right? Active listening. I don't think it sounds great. I always turn it off. Background noise denoising enabled. Keep it on because it filters the background noise while the user is talking, and that helps the AI hear more clearly. PlayHT comes with some emotions. I like the emotions. I usually use female sad because it makes her speak softer without so much expression, and it's pretty realistic. But you can use any of the emotions. These are specific to PlayHT, so these settings are going to change based off of which voice provider you're using, right? DeepGram has no additional voice settings. Azure has only the speed that you can change. OpenAI also only has speed that you can change. 11 Labs has some interesting stuff. And if you're curious what any of this stuff does, you can just hover over the icon and it will explain it to you. So you never really have to be confused about what's going on. Just hover over an icon and the icon will tell you. All of these icons will tell you exactly what's happening. And for the settings, there's really no best setting. Each voice is going to act a little bit differently and sound a little different. So if you just play with the settings for long enough and understand what you're changing by looking at the icons, you can narrow into something that is pretty well functioning. And it's super easy to test because you change the setting, hit publish, and then talk with the assistant. 3-step process. Super easy. Okay. Functions. We will do a whole video solely dedicated to functions. These are tools. This is pretty much how the AI can take action, like looking up a calendar for its availability, scheduling appointments on that calendar, sending text messages, whatever else you can program with automations, you can trigger with the voice AI assistant. This is a whole video that we will dedicate strictly to tools, how to create them, why you would create them, what they're doing. But it means we have to go to some other platforms to build automations first, which is why we won't jump into that right now. But some predefined functions, so some tools that are built in, is you can always do call forwarding. Just put your phone number in here and the AI will forward the conversation to that phone number based off of when you put in the prompt. Like if you give instructions in the prompt for when to forward the phone, it will forward the phone when you reach that stage of the conversation. Just explain how and why you would use the phone forwarding in the prompt. Put your phone number there, and you have call forwarding set up. Super easy. Dial keypad is if you need the AI to navigate an IVR for some reason. End call function is if you want the AI to be able to end the call. I always leave these off because I don't really ever have to use them, but if you want to learn more, you can hit read more and read the documentation about exactly how it works. If you are still confused, you can ask the Vapi assistant. If you're still confused after that, you can copy all of this, paste it into Claude or ChatGPT, and ask it to explain it to you. That's how you learn. Just ask questions. You can even ask AI what questions you should ask AI. That might be getting a little too meta for you right now. We'll jump back into that when we start prompting. For now, let's keep rolling forward. Those are your tools. Let's hit the next page. Advanced. These are just some settings that you can change. Again, hover over the icons if you need some additional answers. If you don't know what HIPAA compliance is, you can Google it, but pretty much this is if you don't want to be collecting, or if you are having a conversation with users and the AI may be collecting private or sensitive information like health or medical records or even payment information, you might want to turn HIPAA on. That way we're not storing any transcripts or recordings on the Vapi servers, and you won't be legally compliant for holding other users' private information. Great. If you want to record the conversations, you can turn on call recording and you will get a recording of every conversation after the call. Again, make sure you're within compliance, you are getting permission to record calls, or you are at least announcing, hey, these calls are recorded. That's typically what we do just to maintain compliance. It's super great that you can manage all of these settings right within Vapi and you don't have to rely on the voice provider, you don't have to rely on the software provider to store your records somewhere. You can actually see all of your call logs and you can manage whether or not you want to keep those call logs. This is for when you want to work with, like, again, healthcare. This is where you're going to mostly be concerned about HIPAA compliance. Video recording. Yes, you can embed Vapi into your video calls. That is a super advanced. We're not going to get there anytime soon. That is like way down the road, but it's super cool that you can do that. We're going to just keep moving forward. Some other things on the pipeline. Silence timeout. This is just how long will the AI wait before hanging up the phone if the user is inactive. So if the user is quiet for 120 seconds, the AI will just hang up. You can turn this up, you can turn it down. The default is usually pretty fine. Response delay. This is how long the AI will wait to respond back to the user after the user has finished speaking. 1 second is usually pretty good. Sometimes I'll turn it up. LLM request delay. This is how long will the AI wait to send a request to the brain to get a response back. Again, you can turn it up, you can turn it down. I like to keep it at a second. I would prefer the AI has more time to think and is certain that the person is done speaking so it doesn't cut them off before responding, more than I want the AI to just respond super quick. People value having a good conversation over just getting replied to super fast. Right. So I turn these up a little bit. Interruption threshold. I also turn the threshold up because this is how many words does the user have to speak before the AI will stop talking. So if the AI is rambling and the user tries to cut them off, the AI needs to hear at least 3 words from the user to be cut off. I like to turn this up to at least 3 words because background noise, sometimes the AI thinks that somebody speaking in the background or other background sounds are user speech. And if you have this set to 1 or 2, then the AI is more likely to just cut itself off because it gets confused with the background noise. So I always turn it up to at least 3. Maximum duration. This is how long can the calls last. They can go up to an hour. They can be as little as 10 seconds. 30 minutes is a plenty long conversation, but I have had people talk to AI for up to 45 minutes. So do with that what you will. The longer conversations obviously cost you more because you're paying per minute. Smart endpointing. This is supposed to let the AI be smart about detecting when the speech has ended, like when the user has stopped speaking. It doesn't work super great yet, in my opinion. It's pretty new. It's only been out for about 2 weeks. So right now it's off, but eventually it will get better. Awesome. Now the server URL and all of this stuff happening here, except for the idle messages, the server URL we will also dedicate a whole video on its own to. All you need to know now is at the end of the conversation, you can send reports to your server, so you can store the transcript, the call recording, call outcomes, the summary of the call, cost breakdowns, all of that kind of stuff. You can store that on your CRM or in a spreadsheet somewhere by sending the end of call report to the server URL. We will set that up in a couple videos. For now, it's nothing that you need to worry about. Just know that we will be able to send our end of call report to a specific server. Awesome. Also, when we're doing tool calls, we'll also get into server URLs because we're sending a request to a server that's going to trigger an automation. We'll get into that. It's a bit more advanced, but it's super powerful, and we will cover that thoroughly. Don't worry about it. Alrighty. If you want the AI to leave a voicemail, if the person doesn't answer, voicemail setting, you can change the voicemail. Super cool. End of call message. If you want the AI to say something when it hangs up the phone, you can do that. I really don't ever use this, and sometimes I'll use a voicemail. Depends. We do multi-call campaigns, so I'll trigger a lot of calls to go out, and then we'll usually record our own voicemails that get dropped when the AI reaches a voicemail. Cool. Select idle messages. If the user stops speaking, the AI will say one of these messages to try to re-engage the user. I don't think they sound very natural, so I don't use this, but you can, and you can adjust the settings here. How long does the AI wait before saying one of its messages? How many times can the AI try to re-engage the user? Again, I don't use these, but if you want, they're there. Last but not least, we have the analysis tab. So like I was mentioning, there's an end of call report that you can send to your server at any time. You can also see this end of call report directly inside of the call logs of Vapi, which we'll check out in just a second. Some information that you can send with the end of call report is a call summary. If you want a very specific call summary, you can put a prompt in here that tells the assistant how you want to be collecting that summary. There's an example right here that you can read. If you want to adjust the summary for something else, feel free to. Success evaluation. And again, all of this stuff is described here, so you can read it over, and there's also examples. But the success evaluation is a predetermined metric for figuring out how successful a call is. So if you prompt the AI to be looking for specific indicators, and you say, I want to rate the success of this call on a scale 1 to 10, it'll give you a response of 1 to 10 based off of what you prompt it to be looking for here. Same thing, I could change it to pass fail, which is just true or false. I could change it to a percentage. I could have it look at a checklist and just determine if specific criteria was checked off throughout the call, all of that kind of information. Super convenient for when you want to easily see what happened during a call at the end of the call without having to listen to the whole recording or read the whole transcript. If you just want to be able to quickly glance and see, did the checklist get filled out, or how good was the call, these are great settings to be playing with, and just use the prompt. Cool. Structured data. So structured data is if you want to be tracking specific properties during the call. So say I'm collecting the user's name. If the AI is asking the user's name during the call, I could put a property here that says name and a description that says the user's full name. And at the end of the call, I will be able to simply look at the property here. I'll see name, and I'll see the user's name filled in. If I want that required, if I want it to be collected during every call, I'll just hit mark as required. You need to put this step inside of your prompt for the assistant, though. So if you want the assistant to collect the user's name, you need the assistant to ask for their full name, right? And then you'll easily be able to find their full name in your end of call report. Awesome. Other things, right? Appointment start date time. If there's an appointment that is being booked, I want to see the start date time super conveniently. I want to see what happened on the call. So the call outcomes could be the person was interested, the person was not interested, the person transferred to another department, the person told us to F off and curse us out, which would be do not disturb. The phone call wasn't answered if this is an outbound call. The phone call went to voicemail. Again, outbound phone calls. All of those call outcomes, you need to describe in the prompt how to determine what the call outcome was and what are the options for the call outcome. Just explain. This is all prompting AI assistants. So if you are confused about how to prompt, just go to ChatGPT or go to Claude and ask. Say, hey, I need to be able to determine the call outcome for conversations that are happening with my voice AI assistant. The users might be interested in buying our product and transfer to another department to buy. They might be interested, but they didn't transfer. They might not be interested. When we call them, sometimes they just don't answer. Sometimes they tell us to never call them again, that kind of stuff. And then tell the AI, hey, can you please give descriptions for how to determine the call outcome and give us some labels for what that call outcome is. That's all you do. I'm going to give you an example here because I think it'll help kind of solidify what I was just saying. So let's go to Fin. Look at the call outcomes. Here, analyze the call transcript for a confirmed appointment date time and categorize the call outcome as one of the following. Hot lead with a description of how to determine hot lead. Follow-up with a description for how to determine follow-up. Not interested with a description for how to determine not interested. You get the point. When the call is over, I will be able to look at the call outcome and see what happened by the end of the call. Where can I see this? It'll get sent to the server URL, which we'll do a whole video on when we're integrating into the CRM. But also you can go to call logs and you can see this same information here on the call reports. If I click one of the calls, I'll click this one. I can, excuse me. I clicked on the phone number on accident. If I click, you'll see the call log come up. There's a recording of the conversation. There's a transcript of the conversation. Obviously, this was not a real conversation. There's an analysis of the conversation, which we were just reviewing. Analysis. This is the summary, success evaluation. This call was too short, so nothing will be filled in here. There's the call outcomes. DNA did not answer. You can see the back and forth messages with the assistant and the person. This is the prompt for the assistant. And then you can see the messages. And you can see the call cost breakdown. So exactly why the call cost as much as it did and the breakdown. Sometimes this is a little inaccurate because I know for sure that this didn't cost me 4 cents. It was a 5-second conversation, right? If I look for a longer one, like the 76-cent call, this is going to be a good example. You will be able to see the call recording. There are logs here, and you can just see kind of the timestamps for when these things happened. The call recording is loading. It's probably closer to like an 8-minute call. Here's a transcript of the conversation. The analysis of the conversation. Oh, yep, here's a call recording. Yep, 8-minute call. I'm a genius. Here's a summary of the conversation, a success evaluation. I just have true false set up right now. And then I can see what happened during the conversation. So this person was a hot lead, and they booked an appointment for October 1st, 2024 at noon. Cool. All right. Messages, call cost, you get the point. Your call logs, you can see the history of all of the conversations that have happened on this platform. That's your call logs. API request and webhooks, these are new tabs here. This is if you want to see like what requests you're making to your assistants with the API. You don't really need to worry about this for now. You'll never have to look at this. Like it's just for your own curiosity. If you want to see a report of your webhook requests and your API requests, you don't really need it. You can see all of the conversations themselves from within the call logs. Awesome. We have a couple other tabs here on this page. We have the voice library. If you want to easily switch between voice providers and test out all of the different voices that you can choose from, you can go to the voice library, switch your settings around, choose the gender, choose the accent. In some cases, you can even choose the language and easily filter define a voice that fits your use case. Super convenient. You can see all of the voices available across like 8 different providers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 maybe. A lot of options to choose from, and you can filter based off of what you're looking for. Again, PlayHT and 11 Labs are my favorite. I hope DeepGram gets better. That would be exciting. Okay, some other tabs in here. Again, we went over assistance and everything that assistance has to offer. You also have phone numbers. This is where you can import your phone number from Twilio or Vonage. You can also buy a phone number directly from Vapi. I always just import from Twilio because on Twilio it costs $1.15, and you can also do like compliance registration to help your number stay compliant and not go to spam, other information like that. We'll cover Twilio in depth in another video as well. Maybe you might have already seen that video or it's coming up. We'll see. Anyways, Twilio, when you want to import your number, you just go to the main dashboard, like your main page on Twilio. You'll see your account SID, copy and paste. You'll see your auth token right under the account SID, copy and paste. It's literally on the main page as soon as you log in. You can label the phone number whatever you want, and you just pick which of your Twilio phone numbers you want to use. Again, it's super easy. Just go log into Twilio. After you buy a phone number, you can copy and paste this information and import the phone number. You can import as many phone numbers as you want. Cool. This takes 2 minutes. If you don't have a Twilio account already, it takes maybe 5 minutes because you have to put payment on with Twilio to buy a phone number. Okay, cool. They actually give you $15 of demo time also, but anywho. This is the phone number that I have set up. If I want an inbound assistant, so anytime a person calls this number, if I want an inbound assistant to answer that, an AI assistant set to my inbound phone number, I can just select the AI that I want to use here. I'll train it with assistance, then I can connect it to a phone number. It is that easy. I now have Finn taking inbound phone calls to this phone number. If I want to test the outbound phone numbers, I can put my phone number in the outbound section, pick an assistant, and hit outbound call, and that assistant will call my phone. It is that easy to trigger inbound calls and outbound calls with Vapi. So you can do your testing. If you want to be able to send calls to a list of users, or if you want to send automated calls that go out on a scheduled basis, that's something that we'll set up in Go High Level, or you could set up with a spreadsheet and Make. We'll do it in Go High Level because Go High Level has everything built inside of its platform already. Automations, websites, contact logs to keep all your contacts, opportunities and pipelines. So it is just really cost effective to do everything in one platform. Right. Okay. That's setting up your phone numbers. Super easy. Your files, if you want to import a PDF or a text file to attach to Assistant, you can attach it here in Files. This is your knowledge base. I usually put the knowledge base directly in the prompt again, but do what you will. Your tools. We will dedicate a whole video specifically just to tools. You can create tools here, and we'll cover exactly how to do that. We'll cover all the options. Super powerful. This is what allows your AI to start taking action during the phone call. So this is mid-conversation. The AI can take action. Super cool. Blocks, new feature that really you won't have to use. You can do everything with the prompt. The blocks are only here for if you need to be able to do like logic trees. But more often than not, if you can prompt and clearly communicate what you need the assistant to be doing, you can do everything inside the prompt. But we'll cover this in its own video once this feature is a little bit more functional. Squads. Squads is super cool. So the squads allow you to transfer phone calls to other AI assistants that you have trained. So if you have all of your assistants here on this platform, look, I have 3 assistants. I could transfer between each of these assistants to each other. For example, my first assistant might be a receptionist that just answers the phone, and then could transfer to Department A for sales or Department B for customer support. So the receptionist just gets the user's information, sees why they're calling, will then either transfer them to Department B, the other assistant that's handling the sales department, or the customer engagement department or customer support department, and the AI assistant that is trained to handle customer support. So it allows you to break out the functionality of each assistant a bit more, which makes it way it makes it easier to be able to train an assistant that can specifically handle its task, instead of trying to pack all of the functionality into one assistant. If you kind of give each assistant its own function, the performance is even better because the assistant doesn't have to think about all of the stuff it has to do. It just has to do one thing really well. So that's why squads are super dope. That is everything on the dashboard. Now, a couple other settings that you might be mindful of is you have a profile setting where you can change your password, delete your account if you need to. You have your organization tab, which is where you can switch between organizations. I'm going to go back to this new one. You have your billing tab where you can update your payment information and you can see how much you've used each month. You can also set a monthly billing limit. So if you don't want to spend more than $100 a month or $50 a month or $1,000 a month, you can update your billing limit here. Actually, let me go back to... You can see exactly also how much you have spent on a day-to-day basis when you... Let me just switch real quick. This is loading, but typically you'll see the day-to-day payments broken down right here in this tab. Maybe if I refresh the page. Anyways, usually there's the daily log of how much you have spent each day down here. Cool. Some other information that you can see here on the page is your member setting. You can add members to your account. So I think it's having a hard time because I'm switching back and forth between the my different organizations quickly. Anyways, here you can add members to your team. This is if you want to add a friend or add one of your clients, or your client needs to add you. You can add members to an organization from the members tab. It's not going to add, here we go. It's not going to add them to your entire account. It'll just add them to the organization that you're under. So I can add a new member, give them a role, invite them, and then they can log in with their email. Cool. Settings. You'll never really have to use your settings. There's some advanced stuff that you can do with the server URL, which I'll show you later when we want to set up something cool with the inbound assistant. But we won't cover that right now because you really don't need it. Organization ID, this is where you can find your org ID. You can increase the call concurrency limit, but you do need to get an enterprise plan to do so. Default is 10, which is pretty good for most use cases. Your API keys. This is your private key that you will be using. It's like your password to do API calls, which is how we trigger outbound calls from an external platform. That's usually why we're doing it. We want to automate the outbound phone calls. We'll do that with the API key. This is a private key. Do not share this with anybody or they will be able to use your assistance without your permission. We're not going to expose this, and we can cover that more when we want to integrate the AI with our CRM and do outbound calls. Just know that we can automate any of these calls to happen from any platform. We can trigger calls from Make. We can trigger calls from Go High Level. Pretty much anywhere where we can set up an automation, we can trigger a phone call, as long as they can make API requests or HTTP requests. We'll cover that more in depth. And your provider credentials. Last but not least, this is where you can bring in your own providers, your own API keys. So if you have a super discounted PlayHT for some reason and you don't want to be charged by Vapi, Vapi covers these costs for you, so you don't have to add anything here. But if you want to bring like a custom voice from 11 Labs, you'll have to go to 11 Labs and clone your voice, and then you'll put your API key into the 11 Labs slot here, and you'll be able to access your custom clone voices. You can do the same thing for your AI providers. Like you could bring your OpenAI key if for some reason you wanted to use, like, not have Vapi cover the cost for you and you wanted to pay directly to OpenAI, you can. Vapi already covers it, so you really don't need to do this. If you have a custom LLM that you're bringing, again, you can bring your own brain to AI. That's an advanced concept. You really don't necessarily need it for most use cases. If you can just prompt well enough, you can get the full functionality for 90% of your use cases. I would go as far to say for 95% of your use cases, 99% of your use cases, you do not need a custom LLM. I promise you, you do not. Okay, but sometimes you want to bring it anyways. Cool. The other transcription providers, yeah, you can bring your own API keys if you want to. You really don't have to do any of this stuff. I'm going to show you how to hook these accounts up. And again, Vapi covers like all of the costs. So that's cool. Anyways, let us move forward. The last piece I want to show you in this video is the extensiveness of the documentation. You can see everything that Vapi has to offer in the documentation. You can see how Vapi works. You can see their pricing breakdown. You can see why you might want to switch to the enterprise plan. You can see their support that they offer in the Discord channel. Discord has a lot of active users, so honestly, I would go to Discord if you have support questions because people are there who will be willing to help. They also have examples of how to build assistants. What is function calling? Again, we're going to do a whole video on this, so hang tight, but you can go start to do some research now. Look at the server URL. Again, we'll do a whole video on this, but you can start to do your research now. Ask the Vapi assistant for any questions that you have. There's even some support on how to integrate this with your CRM, with Go High Level, with Make, with whatever you need to do. Who is that? Look at that handsome fella. Look at that guy. If you want an extensive breakdown on how to connect your assistant to Make and Go High Level, you can go watch this video by yours truly. I forgot I was there. That's pretty cool. Anyways, there's a community of people who want to help and see you succeed. So yeah, we're here to help and see you succeed. Go watch the video. I'm going to remake all of these videos. I'm going to go step by step through every single piece of how to train the best advanced AI agents. So we'll cover prompting. We'll cover the function calling, the tools. We'll cover how to make API calls. We'll cover how to hook this up into your CRM. We'll cover use cases and when and why you want to train a voice AI assistant. We'll cover literally everything as far as building the agents. We're going to cover step by step. So hang tight, subscribe, ask your questions, and actually, I do have a neat little surprise for you guys. We'll cover this API documentation another time too, but here's how you're triggering automated calls. I promise it's not super hard. Like there's only three things you need to trigger a call. You need the assistant ID, you need the phone number ID. Here, I'll show you. Assistant ID. We'll just put that as one right now. You'll need an assistant ID. You will need a phone number ID, and you will need your customer information. So this is the phone number that you want to call out to. And you will need the name of the person. With this simple HTTP request, I can trigger automated calls with my assistant. The assistant ID you can find after you train the assistant. Your assistant ID is right here. I can just copy that and paste it in. The phone number ID, same thing. If I just go to the phone number after I import it, I'd have to go to a different account that has a phone number to show you, but I'll do that real quick. This phone number has an ID. I could copy that and import it. So I'd also want to get an assistant from the same account. The assistant ID, the phone number ID. This is your phone number ID. And then the name and number of the caller that you want to call out to. That's done. The only other piece of information you need is your bearer token. So this is bearer and then your API key. So again, that's the secret password that I told you never to share with anybody. API key. It's going to load here. If I put that bearer key here in the authorization, I could actually do a test call right now and call myself automatically. If I want to do this inside of Make, again, go watch that video where I break this down fully, but I could just put this information into my automation, go to the HTTP request, make it a post request with the URL we want to call, put in the header, authorization, bearer, your API key, the header with content type, the value is application JSON, the raw body, this is a raw JSON body. I could just copy and paste this in to Make, and that would trigger a phone call. It takes literally 5 minutes to set up at most, and it's not super complicated. Again, if you have any questions about how to do this, go watch that video. I actually break this all down extensively. But my prize for you guys, for those who have stuck around to watch the full breakdown of the Vapi dashboard and why you should be using Vapi, because it is the most powerful platform. You have full transparency, the performance is the best, and you can build some really crazy, awesome, cool automations. Nobody else, there's no provider that has this much extensiveness to what they offer and this much documentation and support. And such a big community of people who want to see you succeed. Just go to support and, oh, well, don't go to support. Don't say that. There's the, where is it at? There's the, here it is, the community. Just go to Discord, and there's a whole bunch of people who want to see you succeed in there. Right? It has almost 6,000 members. There's 1,000 people online right now who know what they're doing. Well, a lot of them do. Some of them have questions, but there's a lot of people who want to see you succeed. Awesome. Go to the community or ask me. And this is what I'm going to show you. If you want me to make a video just for you, there's 3 questions that you can ask me. If you needed any 3 questions answered in a video, I want you to text this phone number and ask. I've trained Finn as an AI agent to handle text message conversations that are going to ask you what questions you want to learn more about. Finn is going to get that data, store it in my database. I have an FAQ on Notion, and let me know, hey, people want you to make content on this. I will do it. If it's already on the roadmap, like I said, I am making training videos for everything as far as training a voice AI agent. You can still reach out and text Finn and let Finn know what you need from me. You can literally just say, hey, and she'll tell you what she's there for. So if you don't know what to say, just say, hey, and she'll tell you, hey, I want to know what you want to know. She's here to help. Like this video and subscribe, because we are going to be dropping training videos for every single piece of training advanced voice AI agents using Vapi and some of our other tech stack. The big reveal is that you're going to be able to build the awesome agents yourself, or give this to one of your employees or somebody and have them learn how to build this stuff. If you want to learn how to sell, how to position your offers, how to do some other advanced training, how to use other platforms like Inadane and Make and Go High Level, I have a full program that is coming very, very soon. So you can call Finn if you would like, and she will qualify you, ask some questions to see where you're at in your business right now, where you're hoping to go, and then you can schedule a meeting with me with Finn. So if you call Finn, she'll, again, qualify you. If you qualify, you can meet with me, and we can chat about seeing if you are a good fit for the program and seeing if we should work together. I would love to work with you. That would be awesome. I am helping other agencies scale, other consultancies scale with this program, ideally to guarantee time and financial freedom. That is the goal. You will also see a link to the form in the description below if you want to learn more about the program. Click on the link, watch it, schedule time with me, talk to Finn, and I will see you later. That is everything for this video. I believe we have covered it. I love you. Good luck. Have fun. Go make some money so you can go live your life and enjoy the day. Peace. Like, comment, subscribe. Come back. I'll see you later. Bye.